Okay, so we're going to give everybody one more minute, but just to go over some housekeeping. Welcome everyone to, I can't believe it, our the SIB Center's seventh weekly webinar. Today we're going to be talking about supporting siblings during COVID-19. For those that are joining us for the first time today, welcome. For those that are returning, welcome back. So the format that we've been doing is we're going to have about a 25-minute presentation, followed by about 25 minutes of a question and answer session. And we are going to ask that people use the chat feature on Zoom. So at the bottom of the screen, there is a kind of speech bubble that says chat. As we're going, feel free to type in any questions that you may have. We also recognize that there are tons of great resources available kind of addressing issues that families are having during this pandemic. We don't want to be redundant. We want to be this to be a good resource for you. So we're also asking for your feedback and suggestions for topics. Each week we have been picking topics based on the questions that families, caregivers, staff are posing to us. And I think a parent last week during our webinar had suggested that we talk about the sibling relationship. So that's what we're doing today. So again, that chat feature at the bottom is kind of going to be where we ask people to type in questions and share ideas regarding future webinar topics. On the SIB Center's website, if you Google SIB Autism Center COVID-19, it will pull up our resource page. We have kind of compiled a list of resources on this topic, and we also have the past 6 webinars available, the slides and the recordings, and hopefully in the next week or two, the recordings from today's webinar will be available as well. So just to kind of go over our agenda today. So as we always begin, we'll kind of do a brief introduction from the speakers. We're going to talk about why focus on siblings right now, strategies to support siblings. We have a wonderful opportunity to hear from a sibling about kind of their experience during COVID-19 and kind of living 24/7 with their brother who is on the spectrum. And then, as I mentioned, we're going to have the question and answer session. So just for brief introductions, my name is Michelle Gorenstein. I am a clinical psychologist and director of outreach at the SIB Autism Center.
And hi, I'm Danielle Halpern. I am also a clinical psychologist. I'm director of our training program. And just to mention, Michelle and I are both parents as well in quarantine with our children. So I have a 12-year-old, a 10-year-old, and an 8-year-old. So we are coming at you from a clinical perspective, but also from a parent's perspective as well.
And also we have Sophia joining us, and she is 14, and she has a 12-year-old brother, and she's gonna kind of conclude today's presentation kind of with her experiences.
Hi. Okay, so I'll start, and again, feel free to use the chat feature or jump in with questions, save your questions, whatever is good. So all of us know that our family dynamics have changed considerably over the past 3 months, and that's not just physically, that we're all in close quarters, it's emotionally as well, especially siblings who have historically have had many outlets, be it sports or school or socialization, have less and less outlets than they used to. So there's a lot more together time than we're used to. And we just wanted, when this topic was raised last week, we jumped on it because we wanted to know and to highlight that these siblings also have needs, and quarantine is difficult for everyone, siblings and parents included. So that's why when this topic was raised, we thought it was very relevant. So what our research has shown is when a typically developing child does help with educating his or her sibling, it is beneficial to both individuals. And it's beneficial to the child with a disability as they are receiving certain help they need. And a lot of times they're receiving it from a sibling who's more like a peer, who is closer to, for the higher functioning children, closer to having done what they've done more recently. And for the sibling, it gives them a sense of helping someone else, and that could feel really good. But there is a fine line, like there is anywhere, and over parentifying a typically developing sibling can lead to problems in that they can feel more responsibility to their sibling and not take care of themselves in the way they may want or need. So how do I, oh, there we go. Thank you. So we came up with certain parenting strategies that we feel that can help siblings. First, validating the child's experience and feelings. Like, I know this is overwhelming for you, and I so appreciate your helping me out. I know a lot of parents who have been on the webinars in the past, and a lot of parents that we speak to are also trying to juggle working from home with their child's needs. So validating the child experience. We know this is difficult. Thank you so much for helping me. I couldn't do this without you. And it is difficult in this climate to carve out special one-on-one time with each child, but to try the best you can, even if it's, taking a walk with one child or a bike ride or playing a special game, but maybe letting the sibling, as well as your child with a disability, just pick a 10-minute activity every day that's just you and just them. And even 5 to 10 minutes can make a huge difference. I think a lot of us are in close quarters, but designating, what you would call a safe space or a private space when needed, even if children are sharing a room, maybe finding a space where the child can feel, or the sibling can feel, I'm just totally overwhelmed. I need 10 minutes by myself to, look at my phone or to hang out or to play a video game. So allowing and carving out in advance that safe space for your child to be able to be by him or herself. And I know this next one, doesn't apply to everyone, because children are, and all of your children are functioning at very different levels, but to the best of your ability, try to set equal expectations with regards to chores and behavior. If each child has a chore, if your typically developing sibling is expected to clear the table, maybe have your child your child with a disability to maybe just help them bring their cup to the sink. It can be developmentally appropriate, but just so the expectations are as equal as you can make them. And the same with behavior. Which we all have different rules and different thresholds about behavior, but try to set equal expectations. We treat each other with respect, and feeling free to speak out loud about that, to say, I really like that you said thank you when your sibling helped you. That's great. And we did talk about safe space or private space, but also maybe shared activities. I know one parent on a previous webinar mentioned a movie night on Fridays that all their kids look forward to. And to have some of those shared activities not only enables a family to have a routine, and most kids thrive on routine and predictability, but it also gives some time as a family and something to look forward to. So we talked a little bit about direct and specific positive praise, but I feel that you can never praise too much. That this is a hard time for everyone. People are all trying their best. So, to have kids feel good about themselves, but giving very specific praise so kids know what they're doing and know what they should continue doing. And this last one, I'm sure we can all relate to, any of us with more than one kid, pathologizing normal sibling rivalry. Again, we are all stuck together with not many outlets, and kids are going to fight, and they're going to fight a lot more than they were fighting before. And especially those of us with teenagers and preteens who are used to a certain level of independence, who are now no longer getting that independence, it's very, very difficult, and it's difficult for all of us. So to know that kids are going to fight, and they're going to fight a lot more, and we're all under more stress than we've been, previously. So just to know that a certain level of fighting and sibling rivalry is to be expected. Oh, can I get the next one, or you can get the next one? Oh, there we go. So we're going to go into more specific strategies, but some pretty straightforward, easy to implement strategies that we've come up with so far to connect with other siblings of children with disabilities. And we're happy to foster those connections if that's something anyone is interested in. Having a shared experience with someone often makes you feel not as alone. So I think that's something that, we've done in the past pre-pandemic, and we're happy to continue to foster and to help with this. And for all of us, we said this on our last webinar, and we'll all try to live by to take care of ourselves as well. Try to find one thing a day that you enjoy. And again, even if it's 5-10 minutes, try to do something that you enjoy daily, as should siblings, as should parents, and to try to keep your children connected socially with others. And sometimes that's difficult. And sometimes when you're not used to, a lot of kids before were managing their own social schedules. It's not as easy now. So just to suggest reaching out, or offer to, do you want me to reach out to so-and-so's parent and see if they want to have a Zoom call? Or, I find with the younger kids, it's better to try to figure out an activity with your child beforehand to play with another child, because 6, 7, 8-year-olds are not used to existing on Zoom and on the computer. So there are a lot of games that you can play on House Party or on Zoom or on whatever application you're using, even if the kids play Hangman together or Heads Up or, very simple games. But sometimes it's hard for kids, even, kids with no delays, to have a conversation virtually when they're not used to it. And, we all are trying to practice gratitude and be thankful for what we have. And I know sometimes it does for all of us. It's very, very difficult, because this is going on a lot longer, I think, than any of us expected. So again, to be honest with yourself about your feelings, yeah, a lot of times this sucks, and it sucks for everyone. But to also try, as best you can to be thankful. But again, that's not easy.
Okay, so I'm going to just share some general resources. So OAR, the Organization for Autism Research and Autism Speaks, has sibling guides. So these are not COVID specific, but will help siblings kind of better understand their brother or sister with a disability. OAR actually does really nice ones because they divided it for younger kids as well as for teenage siblings. So these are just very general sibling information. The Sibling Support Project is a wonderful resource. I'm putting their link. They do have a message regarding COVID-19, as well as some useful information. So for those that do feel like they have other children at home that might be struggling being in the same home 24 hours, 7 days a week, with no social outlets, I do recommend kind of checking out the Sibling Support Project's website. Also listed on the, can we just go back? On the Sibling Support Project is Sibling Support Project sponsors the SIB Shop Groups. For those that are unfamiliar with SIB Shops, it is a wonderful program. They train staff, whether it's social workers, teachers, physical therapists, community center staff, to run groups for siblings. Specifically siblings, it typically is for kids 8 to 13, but I have seen SIB Shop groups for younger kids. There are also sibling programs for teens, for adult siblings, and under the COVID-19 resources, they've created remote SIB Shop activity ideas. There are tons of SIB Shop groups across the country that are offering virtual meetings and virtual activities. When I was doing kind of research for this talk, I saw one state, I want to say Washington, but that might be wrong, is doing a PEEP challenge for siblings. So for older siblings who might be into photography, the marshmallow peeps, taking pictures of the marshmallow peeps, and they're putting a whole project together called the PEEP Project. So definitely check that out, and it gives a lot of context for virtual groups. One SIB Shop group that's somewhat local to us, depending on where you're joining us from, it is on Long Island through Breakthrough Intensive Physical Therapy. I did reach out to the SIB Shop coordinator of that program. They are doing free virtual SIB Shop groups. So that is definitely something for you to keep in mind. She did ask that if you were interested before kind of visiting the SIB Shop group, that you would email and kind of do a brief intake, just so she can learn more about your children at home and which siblings would be joining. And again, as Dr. Halpern mentioned, this is just a really good way for siblings to connect, to have a social outlet, and to feel kind of less alone in their experience. Breakthrough Intensive Physical Therapy is also offering at this point free virtual exercise sessions for siblings. I didn't list this flyer, but they have a simultaneous exercise session for children with neurodiversities or intellectual disabilities as well. And again, she's just asking if you were interested in joining this group, that you reach out. Her phone number and email and website are all listed on the slide. So now we are going to hear from Sophia. Sophia is a 14-year-old who enjoys cooking and soccer. She has a 12-year-old brother who has autism, cognitive delays, and limited speech. So thank you so much for joining us, Sophia. I'm sure everyone is eager kind of to hear your voice, and we really appreciate it. So I guess I'm going to just start off by, why don't you share kind of some of either the positives or benefits you've seen or experienced during kind of this time at home with your family and with your brother?
Well, we're all like at home more with each other because we're usually really busy because me and my other brother, who doesn't have autism, play sports and have a lot of stuff after school. So Yeah. Just so we're all home more. Or, yeah.
Can you hear her?
I hear you a little better than I hear her.
Okay, does that sound better?
Yes, that's much. So you were just saying that you have a lot more time. You're less busy kind of running from maybe appointments or school stuff.
Yeah.
And have
Yeah.
you gotten a chance to do anything fun with your family during this time or with your brother, Tony?
We've had more time to just like watch movies and stuff, or like I've had more time to like play with Tony, I guess.
Okay. And I guess on the flip side, all of us are kind of struggling with different aspects of this. Have there been any things that have been particularly challenging being at home kind of with your family all the time and kind of having a brother who might have more needs?
Yeah, it's just more like chaotic and loud.
So have you found any things that have been helpful, or is there anything that mom or dad do kind of to help you kind of with
Wait. We've been well, I just like have like school and stuff, and so like Tony doesn't go in my room, so I just like if I need to be quiet, I'll go in there.
Okay. And have any teachers, I guess, what have you been doing to cope, even outside of living with Tony, or what have you been doing to kind of get through this period where you can't see your friends or kind of do your after school activities?
I have like Zoom calls for church and my soccer team sometimes, and those are usually once or twice a week, so that takes up some time. And then my church group and me like do an app called Marco Polo sometimes, and then which is you just send videos to each other, and then I'll like text my friends. I do a lot of baking too.
Okay, that's awesome. Sophie, is there anything else that you think other parents should know, or how they can help support their children who might have more needs, as well as all the other children or siblings in the house? Because it sounds like you've really used a lot of the strategies that we've talked about.
Just like taking time to spend with them. Because it's like stressful sometimes, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a really good tip, and something that every family is probably struggling with, finding enough time to kind of make everybody's needs met. But I think it's an important thing that we all remember that everyone in the house has needs. Everybody in the house might be feeling extra stressed or kind of be dealing with kind of their own feelings related to everything, and kind of doing our best, even if, as Dr. Halpern mentioned, taking 5-10 minutes every day to kind of just make sure that everyone is being checked in on, including caregivers and siblings. Any last thoughts, Sophia or Danielle, before we open it up to questions?
Just one thing we do that's nice is we'll try to watch a movie like every night or something on TV.
Oh, nice. And is that something that everybody in the family participates in?
It depends what we're watching, but usually me and my mom have been watching like Hallmark movies. My other brother and dad don't find them most entertaining, but yeah.
I was going to say, you might have some strategies for me and my kids as well. How do you guys decide what movie you guys get to watch? Because I know you have 2 other siblings, so how does that work?
Well, usually Tony's in bed by the time we're watching a movie. And me or my other brother Rocco and my dad will sometimes watch like Avengers and stuff. I'll watch Avengers with them, but they'll watch like scarier movies. And then me and my mom will watch like, I don't know, just calmer movies. Or I'll watch American Idol usually every week and stuff like that.
That's great. So it sounds like you have some time carved just for things that you and your mom enjoy, and then sometimes like American Idol where it might be something everybody enjoys.
Yeah, it's when like Tony's in bed and it's quiet.
Okay, well, that makes a lot of sense. Any other thoughts? So guys, we now encourage people to ask any of us questions that they might have.